So, you did it. Congratulations, and welcome to parenthood. You've made it through everything, and now you're home. That first week can feel like you've been dropped on a new planet with zero instructions. So, we've put this guide together to walk you through the absolute essentials and, hopefully give you a little peace of mind. Okay, let's get right into it. First things first, let's just be real. This quote right here, it pretty much nails the unfiltered reality of week one. It is messy. We're talking yellow stains from everything, from spit up to that first amazing milk called colostrum to all the poop. It is definitely not what you see in the movies. So if you're currently surrounded by a mountain of laundry, just know you are doing it exactly right.
You know that moment you walk for your front door with this tiny little person? It's just so powerful. And honestly, a little bit terrifying. The nurses are gone, the doctors are gone, and suddenly it's just you. And that feeling of, okay, now what? Yeah, that's completely universal.
And this is so important to hear. Feeling totally and completely clueless right now is the most normal thing in the world. I mean, think about it. You're recovering from birth, you're running on fumes, and you're trying to learn a brand new person who can't tell you a single thing they need. So please, give yourself some grace. This is intense for literally everyone. For the next little while, your entire world is going to shrink down to three main activities: eating, sleeping, and pooping. That's it. Understanding this super simple cycle is honestly the key to surviving and maybe even enjoying this first week. This is your baby's entire job description.
So let's start with sleep. On paper, this looks incredible. Newborns sleep, on average, a whopping 16 hours in a 24-hour period. And you see that number and you think, fantastic, I'm going to get so much rest. But, and this is a really big but, that sleep happens in these tiny little frustrating chunks of just 2 to 3 hours at a time. Why? Well, their stomachs are so small that they have to eat around the clock. So while your baby is technically sleeping a ton, you might not be. And all that eating brings us to our next topic.
So, how do you even know when it's time to eat? Well, your baby will give you signs way before they start screaming. You've got to look for these early feeding cues, like the ones you see here. There's rooting. That's when they turn their head and open their mouth, searching. They might shove their hands in their mouth or make these tight little fists. That full-on frantic cry, that's actually a late sign of hunger. And trust me, it's way harder to feed a hysterical baby. Catching these early cues is a total game changer. Now, this chart, this is your new best friend. It's the most reliable way to know if your baby's getting enough to eat, especially if you're breastfeeding. See, you can't really measure how much they're taking in, but you can absolutely track what's coming out. The number of wet diapers should go up every single day, and you'll see the poop change from that black, tarry stuff called meconium to a seedy, mustard yellow by about day 5 or 6. Seeing that progression is just a fantastic sign that everything's on track. Okay, let's be honest. Newborns are weird. They make the strangest noises, their skin does odd things, and they have all these jerky reflexes. This section is all about decoding those "is this normal" moments that can send any new parent into a complete tailspin. Let's kick it off with a big one that catches so many parents by surprise. Maybe your baby slept pretty well that first night. You thought, hey, I got this. And then the second night hits. Ever hear of second night syndrome? This is basically what's going on. Your baby suddenly has this big realization. Whoa, I am not in that warm, cozy, constantly moving place anymore. This awareness can lead to a really tough night of nonstop feeding, what we call cluster feeding. It's not because you don't have enough milk, it's their way of staying close and telling your body to ramp up milk production. And this quote just says it all, doesn't it? It can feel absolutely brutal, like you're failing on day 2. But just knowing that this is a recognized, normal phase can really help you get through it. It's not you, it's just a thing babies do, and it will pass. All right, here's a little rapid-fire round of other things that look bizarre but are totally fine. Dry, flaky skin, normal. Tiny little white bumps on their nose, that's just Melia, also normal. The constant grunting and groaning like a tiny old man, so normal. Twitching in their sleep, that's just their startle reflex. Swollen genitals, totally caused by your hormones. And all that sneezing, it's just how they clear out their tiny little noses. See? Weird, but normal. And what about that little umbilical cord stump? The rules here are super simple. Keep it clean and keep it dry. That's it. Fold the diaper down so it gets some air. You don't need to use alcohol on it. That's really old advice. Just leave it alone and it'll fall off all by itself, usually in 1 to 3 weeks. So we've focused a lot on the baby, but your well-being is every bit as important. The postpartum period is just this wild ride of hormones, sleeplessness, and really intense emotions. Taking care of yourself is not a luxury right now, it is an absolute necessity. We tend to think of postpartum feelings as being one of two things, either pure bliss or deep depression. But the reality is this huge, messy spectrum. You might feel happy, sad, worried, and even scared, all within the same hour. One minute you're just staring at your baby, totally in love, and the next you're crying for no reason. It's all part of the wild hormonal roller coaster. Now, it is really, really important to know the difference between the baby blues and something more serious like postpartum depression or PPD. The baby blues are super common. They affect up to 80% of new moms, but they usually fade within a couple of weeks. PPD, on the other hand, is more severe, it lasts longer, and it often requires help to get better. The key things to look for are how long it's lasting and how intense the feelings are. And this is maybe the most important takeaway of all. You are not alone, and you do not have to just power through this. If your feelings of sadness or anxiety feel like too much, or they just aren't getting better after 2 weeks, please, please reach out. You can call the National Maternal Mental Health Hotline at the number on your screen, 833-852-6262. Help is there, and asking for it is a true sign of strength. Okay, let's wrap this up with some hands-on, practical tools that can help you feel a little more in control during those really fussy moments. Think of this as your survival toolkit. You may have heard of Dr. Harvey Karp's 5 S's. It's basically a series of steps that are designed to trigger a baby's natural calming reflex. And here's why it works. It mimics the sensations of being in the womb. So first, a nice tight swaddle. Then, you hold them in a side-lying position. You make a loud shushing sound right in their ear, gentle swinging or rocking, and finally, you give them something to suck on. It's a sequence that can honestly feel like a magic trick for a lot of babies. And you made it. You survived the first week. That is a huge, huge milestone. So just take a breath, look at what you've done. It was probably messy and imperfect, but you did it. What was the one thing about this week that surprised you the most? Thinking about that is really the first step in this incredible, wild journey ahead. You've totally got this.